You should not take a paper-based exam. No, instead, take a computer-based exam. Let's begin by talking about some general points that make a computer-based test a lot more comfortable. When you take a computer-based test, you will always be able to see how much time you have left because it's displayed at the top of your screen. And wow, isn't that convenient? This means you don't need to rely on the examination centre putting a clock where you can see it. And I know this seems like a really simple thing to do, but students have told me that during their Cambridge exam, the clock was either not visible or the batteries ran out halfway through. The point is, this cannot happen in a computer-based exam. Woohoo! Also, you will always be able to see how much of the exam you have completed by looking at the bottom of your screen. This may seem like a really small thing, but it does save you time because you don't have to flick through pages to see which answers you've completed and which answers you haven't. In addition to this, you can even bookmark a question. If you bookmark a question, you will see a little orange bookmark next to the question number at the bottom of your screen. This will remind you to come back to the question and check it again later. If you do a paper-based test, then you just need to remember. But we all know that memories can fail, and that's a terrible thing. Oh, and one more thing. If you take a paper-based test, then you need to wait at least 4 weeks to get your results. And when you're super anxious about the results you have got, that is a super long time. However, if you take a computer-based test, you could have your results back in a week. Ooh, that is marvelous. Now that we've looked at these general points that make computer-based tests absolutely fantastic, let's look at each section of the exam and talk about why a computer-based test is superior, or, in the case of reading, why a paper-based test is superior. Let's go. Let's start with the negatives. Yeah, in my opinion, reading is better in a paper-based test. And this is because sometimes you will not be able to see all of the text and all of the questions at the same time. Instead, you will need to scroll. For me, personally, this is especially annoying for Part 7 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper and Part 8 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper. Because look at this. You cannot see all of the texts at one time, and you cannot see all of the questions at one time either. So you need to constantly be scrolling up and down in either column. And for me, personally, that's really annoying. It's much better to see an entire page of texts and an entire page of questions together. It's just much easier, no? However, it's not all bad. Maybe these things will make up for it for you. You can highlight parts of the text, and yes, I know you can do that with a pencil too. However, you can also delete these highlights with the click of a mouse, and that takes a lot longer to do with a pencil because you've got to rub it out. So there's that. And you can customize your exam. You can change the font size and change the color scheme. Personally, none of this makes up for the problem of having to scroll when reading, but don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Okay, now we've got all of the negatives out the way. That's all of the negatives. Let's talk about some of the positives. What I'm about to say may sound terrible, but it's true. I have received so many complaints from candidates that took paper-based Cambridge exams and had problems with the audio. Yeah. Some centres are still using old CD players with speakers. And this means there could be problems with volume and there could be problems with echo. If you take a computer-based test, then this is definitely not going to happen because you will have headphones. Also, you can control the volume of the headphones yourself. Oh, that is brilliant. But of course, a good examination centre offering a paper-based exam should give you headphones. They should give you headphones, but it's not guaranteed, and so, yeah. Additionally, at the end of a paper-based listening test, you have 5 minutes to copy all of your answers from the question paper to the answer sheet. Now, for the computer-based test, you don't need to do that because you've been writing your answers directly onto your computer-based paper. Instead, they just give you 2 minutes at the end of the test to check your answers. So this means you save 3 minutes of life. Think of all the things you could do with those 3 minutes. I can think of some brilliant things that I can do in 3 minutes. In short, the listening part of a computer-based test is just better than a paper-based test. You get headphones, you can control the volume, you don't have to copy a bunch of answers, and you get 3 minutes of your life back. In some ways, this one comes down to personal preference. I am a very fast typer. And so it's much easier for me to get my ideas from my brain onto the paper using a keyboard. However, if you're not a very good typer, then yeah, the computer-based writing test probably isn't ideal for you. Another thing to bear in mind if you choose to take the computer-based test is obviously there is no spell check. When I type, I am very careless with my spelling, and I rely on the computer to correct those mistakes for me. Obviously, there is no autocorrect, there is no spell check, so you need to be extra careful that your spelling is correct when taking a computer-based test. That said, there are other ways in which a computer-based writing test is just better. Correcting writing mistakes during a paper-based test can get very, very messy. If you want to correct a mistake on the computer-based test, then you just have to press delete on your keyboard, and then it's gone forever. On a computer-based test, you can even copy and paste entire paragraphs, change the order of entire sentences by just copying and pasting. And this is really good, especially if you want to write your introduction after you have written all of the essay. And now you're probably thinking, but Toby, why would I want to write my introduction at the end of my essay? Well, watch this video here and it will explain. Secondly, some people like counting their words, and I know you definitely should not be wasting your time counting words in the exam. However, if you do really want to know how many words you have written, well, it will be displayed at the bottom of the page. So, simple. And lastly, you're probably thinking, but Toby, I like to plan, and I like you because I like people that like to plan. And don't worry, because during a computer-based test, you can still plan. All you need to do is ask for some paper. Yeah, that's right. During a computer-based exam, you can ask for a piece of paper to plan on. Ooh, just make sure that you don't take this piece of paper out of the examination room, because then you could have some problems, and we don't like problems. And there we have it. Those are the reasons why I think a computer-based test is far superior to a paper-based test, apart from for reading, and also if you're a slow typer, in which case a paper-based test is probably better. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. My name is Toby and this was Smash English.